Keepers of the Cash, and welcome back to another episode of the 1011. And tonight we have a packed episode. I got the hootinest, tootinest, shootinest guest on tonight. We have Mr. Chuck Hensey as a guest co-host. He is going to be a regular for a while on Thursdays. We have Anachronic Comics joining us again tonight because Joe and I just can't stop streaming with each other lately. And then we got my always Thursday wingman. We have Digger Jim. Jim, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing great. I get to dig tomorrow, finally.
Now, as awesome as us four are, we're not here for us tonight. We're here for our guest, the man of the hour, none other than Jerry the Jitterbug himself. Jerry, good evening, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Gary. Thank you for having me on. I wanted to come on for quite some time, and I'm really looking forward to have a great time. Thank you.
Yeah, gotta say I love the shirt.
Thank you. Yes. Everyone go check it out and buy one. It's very comfortable and well-fitting. I love it. I truly do. I have about 3 other shirts from other channels. If you're watching and you sent me ones, I didn't open them yet, but I'll open them probably in about a month or two. So they're sitting on my shelf, so I didn't forget about you. And
no calls, not Jerry's strong point.
Yep. No. And my main goal, Gary, I want to have fun, but there's something that's very important to me at 9 o'clock that I have to watch. I've been waiting for, but we'll get close. If we're close, we can go over a little bit, but I want to watch the presidential debate tonight.
Okay, well, we'll start burning through it then. But first, give the quick minute who you are, what your channel's about, and
okay,
and then we'll say hi to the chat, and then we'll come right back to you, bud.
Sure. My channel's Jerry the Jitterbug Comic Collector. If you haven't heard of me, go check it out. I basically work on comic books. I like to conserve comic books. I like to clean and press comic books. I also like to do comic shop tours. I like to also purchase books from auctions or on Instagram or wherever I get them. And I really try to show tips of how you can purchase really great books on a budget. And that's my primary, those are my primary items on my channel. And it's been going very well. I'm very happy. I do probably 3 uploads a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I do a lot of shorts during the week as well. And it's just fun. I'm truly enjoying doing what I do. And I really get a pleasure of working on comic books that are very low grade, and whether I'm going to conserve with leaf casting or just clean and press, it just gives me pleasure in sharing the knowledge that I developed. And if you were watching my channel, I was recently working on an X-Men #1, and I just got notification from CGC that they are grading it right now. So that was the unlimited value tier that I did it. I think that's what they call it now. And it's going to be done within the next few days. So stay tuned, because it's going to be a good upload. And hopefully I achieved my goal in getting a conserved grade. But unfortunately, in the past, there were times that I did get restored grades and I had to resubmit the books and go through the hoops. And ultimately, I always got conserved grades on my books. But hopefully this is not one of them. So that, in a nutshell, is my channel. And go check it out if you haven't.
Right, we'll cross our fingers for you. All right, so let's say hi to the chat. So first in, as always, we got James Las Cruces. Good evening, sir. Nice to see you. He always pops in during the day a few times. We have Paul from Psychedelic Comics. Good evening, sir. We have Mr. Steve White joining us. We have one of our co-hosts here, Chuck, saying hello to everybody, as well as Joe. We have Brad from Canada. Good evening, Brad. Nice to see you, buddy. Phil's Treehouse. Good evening, sir. Nice to see you. Mr. DVH from across the pond. Good evening, sir. Mr. Mark Andrews, another one of our Canadian buddies. Good evening, Mark. Nice to see you, sir. Carlito Classico. Good evening, buddy. Nice to see you. Manny, the Hobgoblin Collector. Hello. How you doing tonight, sir? Nice to see you as well. All right. And all right, so well, Paul, he answered all those on 2 episodes of In the Hot Seat with the Usual Suspects. I suggest Terry's going to show some snip, but I suggest you go check out the old replays on the In the Hot Seat with the Usual Suspects playlist, and you will get all that information from Jerry the Jitterbug on those 2 episodes. But
thank you.
Without further ado, as I like to do, I'll just keep giving everyone a tip of the hat as they're getting their notifications and popping in. I will silence my my draft stuff here from ESPN. And Jerry, how was it? How was it picking out the books?
Well, I wanted to do a theme, so the majority -2 are CGC slabbed, and all of the books are either a first appearance or a #1 book.
Nice.
And so let's get to it. Want to do the first one?
Yeah.
The first one is Ghost Rider #1, and that is from a cover date of September 1973. Nice Gil Kane cover.
And I was going to say, I love that cover.
Yeah.
Definitely. I always wanted this book, and I just recently got it through another comic community member, and I'm very happy to pick this book up. So Ghost Rider #1 is the first book, and this is the first of his own series. The first appearance was Marvel Spotlight, I believe, #5 for Ghost Rider. I could be wrong with that, but that's the next one I'm going to grab. I just missed one at my local LCS, but I'm going to get that hopefully in a short period. So Ghost Rider #1. I wanted this book, and I found it. I bought this from Jim from Brownsville Comics. I don't know if you guys watch his channel. Yeah. So he contacted me, and that's another great thing about the community, because one of my tips is in my uploads, how to build the ultimate comic collection on a budget, is really go and try to benefit from your resources. We have a wonderful resource base now on YouTube and Instagram, and being that we have channels and being that people follow us a lot, I walk into comic shops often just out of the blue when I do the uploads, whether it's worth the trip or a waste of time. That's my catchy thumbnail. And I would say probably 8 out of 10 times when I ask the owner, I go, I have a Jerry the Jitterbug. They go, I know you, I watch you. And I'm able to negotiate with them a better deal for the book. And I do the same thing on eBay. So what I do is, if there's a low grade book, and even if there isn't an offer feature, what I do is I'll send them a private message on eBay, and I'll say, listen, I have a YouTube channel, and I'm telling you, a lot of times I say, you know what? I watch your channel. My friend watches your channel. And then I wind up getting a nice discount on the book. So use your resources, guys. It's very important. Okay, so that's book 1.
And just all the people too that just automatically reach out to you and offer you deals too. Like being in this community is amazing.
100%. And being that I do work on books for other people in the community, I don't take payment, but I won't do it for free anymore, because my time is valuable, and I have a nice track record with getting pretty good grades on the books. So I say, okay, you have to give me a book in exchange for my payment. And I'm going to work on a detective comics, a really rare detective comics next. That's my major book that I'm working on. And Jeremy owns the book, a fella on Instagram. For me to work on the book and do the leaf casting, I got a Captain Marvel Adventures #2 or 3. I don't recall which one that he gave me as a payment, but I think it's 3. But it's a very valuable book, and that's how you build the collection, by doing things like that. So the next book is Gary's gonna like this one. I know he has it, and I know it's just a book that Conan #1, cover date 10/1970. And this book right here is very special to me. And I'll tell a quick little story, because each one I have a story. And this book I had probably since I was in 9th grade. And I probably paid maybe $30 for it. And you know what? I'm making up that $30. It could have been less, but in 9th grade, I didn't have much money. So this book I've been carrying around since I was 12, 13 years old, because I used to go to the comic shows back then when they were like just little mom and pop comic shows without people dressed up like creatures and superheroes, just normal comic shows. So I've been carrying this around, and I finally worked on it, and I got a 3.0. It was a low grade to begin with, but it just brings back.
But it's your
memories.
original.
But it's yours.
Yeah, I was always a fan of Conan. So Conan #1, first in his comic title, right? And Barry Windsor Smith cover. Everyone knows about this book, especially Gary. This is my book.
Now, Jerry, is it true? There was a rumor around that Gary would not let you on the 1011 unless you showed your Conan book from when you were talking about.
I heard that same thing.
So book #2. The next book. Am I going too fast? You think here? I'll
do your pace. This is
the next.
You're the
book,
guest. Do what you're comfortable with.
I love the shot. That's Matt being silly.
When I get amped, I talk a little fast, but I'm gonna slow it down a little bit. Okay. So, what is that? I love the shower curtain behind you, Jerry. Oh yes, that is a shower curtain. Not. It's a sheet. And the reason why I have a sheet behind me is because this is my home office, and behind me I have files, and I'm a lawyer, as you know, and I don't want anyone to be seeing what I have behind me. I would eventually one day do a nice comic wall. I have plenty of comics. It's on the short list for me to do. So in the next few years, maybe I'll get around to it. But that's why I have the sheet. So
it's also the Wrap the Bodies in Aftermath.
That's correct. But I do have blue lights reflecting on the sheet to give it a nice look. Because I watched a YouTube channel where they say how to make your live stream look better. So I have one light bulb behind the sheet blue, and I have one facing up blue. So I hope you see it. Okay.
Wow.
So the next book is 4-Color Comics Series 1, number 16. And this book is very special because this is the first appearance of Mickey Mouse in comics right here. And this was the cover date is from 1941. So it's a very old book, and this book is very valuable even at this grade. You don't see.
I remember you working on that book.
Right. And this book I was able to pick up from a fellow named John, and he is someone who follows my channel. And he contacted me and he says, Jerry, I love your channel. Shout out to John. And he says, listen, I have so many Golden Age books that I bought from someone who had a library of comics down south, and he didn't pay much for them. And he wanted to share the love. And this book had a packing tape going halfway down the cover. Yeah. So I was able to move the packing tape and grade it. And it's just a great book. And I'm a big Disney fan, so I'm very happy to have the first appearance. It says, first Mickey Mouse in comic book. Mickey Mouse outwits the Phantom Blot. Minnie Mouse and Pluto cameo. I also have a problem with this book because when I sent it off to CGC and I became lackadaisical, I didn't follow through with it. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but right here, there is a chunk of the cover that's missing, and that is actually folded under the interior of the book. I can see it from the side.
So when they encapsulated it, they messed it up.
Yeah, right. So when I called them and I complained, and they're like, well, it doesn't affect the grade, and it must have fell off during grading. I knew it didn't fall off because I can see it. So we went back and forth, and you know what? I just gave up on it. I have too many battles to fight, and it is what it is. So this is Mickey Mouse, first appearance, #1. Great book in my opinion.
He made a video about that as well, so go to his channel and check out those videos.
Right, you had that book on your channel, right? Because I think I remember.
I did. I worked on it.
I remember that.
Right, that was a series. I did my bum. I got the CGC box. I predicted the grade, and I think I predicted it correctly. I'm pretty good with predicting the grades, plus or minus a half a point. So very happy to have that book. Very happy. Shout out to John who reached out to me. Great guy. And I also bought from him the first appearance of Uncle Scrooge. I got the first Carl Barks Donald Duck. I got like a tremendous amount of books for a song and the dance. Very inexpensive, and
Wow.
Those are incredible grails there. I mean, those are just amazing grails.
Right. And you got Doug Bratton saying it presents well and wonderful colors on that cover.
It does. It does. And go check out if you're interested. You should see, like I said, the half of the cover had packing tape on it, and even the back cover had a portion of packing tape. And I was very fortunate I was able to get the packing tape off because it was a water-based solvent. So water alone was able to remove it. If it was anything with a chemical-based adhesive, it would have been.
And watching you do that, I'm always amazed at the patience you have. Because I don't have that sort of patience. I would just rip it up and giggle the whole time, like, I'm done.
Well, that's the magic of editing. You know, I show the patience. Sometimes I don't show the whole thing. And a lot of times you have to, when I do things in time lapse, it's little breaks. So I film it, I walk away. And time lapse, I'll give you a little hint or a secret of my channel. Time lapse means being lazy because I just want to get it done, but I want to show how I do it. So it's probably about like 10 segments of the time lapse of me doing something.
Right. He doesn't show like when he has to like walk away and kick a couple puppies and come back.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Just kidding.
Okay. Now the next book is the first appearance of the new X-Men team in their title. Okay, it's not the first appearance, but it's the first appearance in the title. So this is X-Men 94. And I think I'm correct with what I'm saying because X-Men #1 was the first appearance of the new team, and Giant Size X-Men #1. That's the first appearance. This is the first appearance of X-Men in the X-Men title, or the new X-Men in the title.
The all new X-Men.
Right.
The new X-Men, right. The new X-Men begin. Okay, and it's the second appearance of Nightcrawler, Storm, Thunderbird, and Colossus. So their first appearance would have been in a Giant Size X-Men. So this book,
a great book.
Right. I'm very happy with the grade. Like with the other books, with the Conan #1, this book I remember purchasing when I just got my, I guess, junior license. So I must have been 11th or at the end of 10th grade in the summer because I was driving by myself. And I went to a local LCS that I used to go to in high school. And this was one of the books there. And I remember vividly purchasing the book. And I didn't spend much for it. So maybe, again, guessing $40 or so, or maybe less.
And the 9.0 is a great grade.
Yeah.
So 9.0 is a great grade. And I look at, I did press it and I did clean it. But I'm looking now and I do see, this is when I started using the press, and I do see probably a little defect that I would be able to get out here. Because even when we press the books and they look nice and clean and flat, it reverts back. And sometimes if it's a bad little crease in the book, over time I've noticed that inside the cases, when I look at it after a year or two, I'm like, oh shoot, look, it did revert back a little bit. And that's why I like to use the copy press that I have, the old copy press with the wheel without any heat, because that actually, I think, presses a book better. If you put humidity in the book and then you keep it under pressure for a week or so, then it comes out a lot better. And that's a reason why that X-Men #1 that I just worked on, I didn't send it off right away, because I kept it in my mechanical press for quite some time, probably for a couple of weeks. I kept it in there under pressure. So just the flatness would stay and it wouldn't revert back once humidity hits it or it gets sent off to Florida. So
now, Jerry, you didn't mention the name of your book press. That's important.
Big Bertha. Big Bertha. Yeah, I call it a bookbinding press, and then there's a few other comic conservation channels now, and they have live streams on Sunday. And you know what? I said, let me go and comment, because they were talking about leaf casting. No mention of my name about leaf casting, but they were talking about leaf casting. And then I mentioned bookbinding, and I was corrected by the individual who has the live stream. I was, corrected that it wasn't a bookbinding press, but it was a copy press. And I was like, okay. And that's it. So now I looked it up, and I had to do the research, and it does say book copying press. A bookbinding press has more space between the two plates. So it is a copying press, but a lot of people call it a bookbinding.
You know, Jerry, just to say one thing, that when you spoke about that, when I press a comic book now, I do use moisture. I do put it in the heat press, which I don't do anymore. But what I was doing for a while, because I did see, is before I do that and after I do that, I have this big piece of granite that was taken out from one of our counters here. And I put in I set the book on top of a magazine paper, and I put that and magazine backboard on top, and I put the granite on top along with some weights. And what I found after I do that, it looks so good. It's amazing. And I keep it in there for a week or so. So I think there's some value.
And I used 100%. And I used to do that because I used to work on books when I was in high school. Okay, 9th grade, 10th grade. I used to do color, and we're going to see I used to do color touch and pressing, because I had a book from the local library, and one chapter was how to restore comics. And I really loved reading it. And back then, really no one used presses to press books. So it was the weight procedure where you put the weight on it, you put a little humidity. They used to say, take a shower and put the book in the shower. Not in the shower, but in the bathroom when you're taking a shower. And then put the weight on it, and it works well, and it does. That's been used. People who flatten out flowers, right? What do? You put them in books, or you flatten things out with the weight. So it's not like a mystery, and I think it works out very well. And I rarely use my heat press now. If I do, sometimes I'll put it on maybe very little for maybe like 5 minutes. Then I'll put it in the bookbinding wrong name press and Big Bertha, and I'll do it that way. Okay, but it's definitely the way to go. Okay, we're ready. Let's do the next one. Absolutely. The next one is another Walt Disney. It's 4-color comics, first series, number 17, and this is the first appearance of Dumbo in comics. And this was purchased by the same individual who gave me the Mickey Mouse, the first one. So I'm very happy to have this book. This book is again from 1941. Okay. And the first comic appearance of Dumbo. This is a very valuable book. And I was able,
what a grade on that for that.
Right. For the year, for 1941, it's an awesome grade in my opinion. So it really
you can't beat it. That's amazing.
Right. So this is another one of my number ones or first appearances. Very happy to have this book. Yeah. Okay. The next book is Iron Man number 1, The Silver Age. And this is from or a cover date of May 1968. And this is a Gene Colan cover. And the importance of this book is that, number one, I had this in high school and I sold it at a comic show that I went to. And ever since I sold it, I was very upset and I always wanted to replace it. So,
and you won that too from the Night Tiger Comics box, right?
Yes. Yeah. So Mike Night Tiger had a comic box giveaway. and this was one of the books. This was the grand prize, and it was only like 5 or 6 boxes he was selling. I forgot what the price was, so I bought 2 of them, and I wanted to increase my chances, and I won it. In addition to a lot of other good books, I was very happy to win this book. And even with both the price of the 2 boxes that I purchased, it was still a lot less than buying this book for 3.5. So I'm very happy. Right. I do think this is a cool book. This is a very weird book. If I don't know if anyone has this book, but if you look at it closely, there's a lot of lines going across the printing, and it's the way it was printed back with the purples back in 1968. So if you ever look at one of these books at a comic show, take a look and you'll see there's lines, little white lines going across the book on the bottom, probably up to this area right here. So
just a printing.
This is a cool book. Happy to pick it up. I'm never gonna Iron Man #1. But it's from the first Iron Man, right? What is that?
Nice.
What's the first appearance? Well, the Tales of
Suspense, 39, I think.
Yeah.
So maybe a couple. I do see one of my searches is coverless books or just covers, and I probably search every day for that, coverless and covers. And if I can get a good Golden Age cover, even if it's the front cover, back cover, whatever it is, I'll pick them up. And I have so many keys that are coverless or pieces of covers. So hopefully I'll be able to marry them all together when I get all the parts, and I'll have a nice key. Like I have a lot of Golden Age Batman without covers, Joker, really hot books that I'm just searching and searching for the covers. Now, the next book is one of my favorite books out of all comics. And this is a book that I bought when I was in 11th grade as well. I remember buying it at a comic show, and it's ASM 129, and it's the first appearance of the Punisher. Now, I am a big Punisher fan. I always have been a big Punisher fan. I have the whole series, Punisher War Journal, Punisher, and the ones from the 90s. I have one to like probably the end. They're not worth much. But this was a book that I was very happy to pick up when I was in high school. I remember when I purchased it, I used to sit on my bed before going to bed and getting ready to go to school the next morning in high school. And I used to read this book religiously. I used to turn the pages. I used to read it. And a lot of the Conan, all the old ones that I had from high school, I used to read. And I don't read comics now. I don't have time to read. I just work on them. But I would say the 90s was probably the last time that I read comic books. And this is one of my favorite books in my collection. It's a 5.5. I did work on it. It's in pretty good shape. The staples are in bad shape. That's what really knocked the grade down, because there's a lot of rips by the staples. But I'm pretty happy with this book, and I'll never sell it. One of my favorites in the collection.
Great book. Great book.
Yeah, it's a great book.
Okay. Right, and just one of those things too, right? When they just throw a character out there and you don't know if it's going to catch on or not, and all of a sudden it's one of your main characters.
Yeah. You know what?
Yeah, Punisher's been as popular as any.
Was going to be the good one,
right?
You know what, Jerry? It's interesting. You're not reading new books right now, but there's a book out called Get Fury, and they send. This is all back during Vietnam, and and the Vietnamese catch Nick Fury. Sorry, thank you. And guess who they send in to go save him?
Frank Castle.
Frank Castle. And they said either save him or kill him. But he can't stay where he is. He's got too many trade secrets. And it's really been a good read so far.
Is it a series or is it one or two? Like, how many books is it?
Limited series.
I mean, it just started. Yeah, it's I think it's probably going to go like maybe 6, I think. 6 books?
I may check that out because that's an interesting thing that I would like to read. That's something. But the only question is, does he have his normal Punisher, the skull, or because at one point?
No, because because he's in the military. It's during Vietnam. He hadn't.
So
he
it's
hadn't
not even the Punisher yet. Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
and it's the original Nick Fury too, and it's written by Garth Ennis. So
oh, it's good.
Okay, I may check that out because I had one book that I was going to show, but I didn't show it because it's not a first appearance. It was one of my favorite books in my lifetime is The Dark Knight Returns. And I just remember in high school reading that, and I read it over and over and over. And it was just an amazing read. And if there's a good series, and if you're recommending it, I have no problem going. And I'm not going to be worrying about preserving the book. I just want to read it. I'll fold it. It's not. I don't think it's going to be worth anything. Right. So
Mark Andrews is confirming it's 6 issues.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So I may check it out. I definitely may check it out because I can get into a short series, and he's definitely one of my favorite characters, and I like the premise of the story. So thank you. I'm gonna definitely check it out.
It's funny. You lawyers like those vigilantes. I've noticed that about you guys.
Well, Batman is also
you like old school justice.
Yeah, I like that. You should hear me in court when I speak to people. I'm like a vigilante. You know what I'm saying? So it's good. Okay. The next book, very low grade, is Brave and the Bold 28.
Nice.
So
you keep showing that to make me feel bad, though, don't you?
Oh my god.
So this is the first. These books are getting hit hard. They're coming down a lot. I check them almost every day, and the prices for the Brave and the Bold are not maintaining what they were. So Brave and the Bold 28, first appearance of the Justice League. It is a low grade 0.5. The book looks pretty good. I had a series on this book on my channel. It was riddled with tape. It was in really bad shape. I knew it was going to be a 0.5 doing it, but you know what? I have it in the collection. Yeah. And to me, I don't mind 0.5 books. It is complete, though, so it should be a 1 technically, but they gave it a 0.5. Everything's
just a fun Starro cover.
Right. Am I really happy with the cover, meaning the artwork? It's a little campy. It's not the best. It's a little
but that's of its
out
time,
of kilter. For its time, right? But Marvel used to kick DC's butt during this time, in my opinion. I think
not at this time. Now I have to correct you. Not at this time. Marvel hadn't started yet.
Well, 3 years later. Can we say that?
Okay.
Marvel was looking to see how low the bar was, is what was going on. So
it's like they're trying to chase against each other right now, guys.
3 years for me is not a big span.
No, it's not.
You mean having Aquaman grabbing Starro? Yeah, I heard him. I corrected him.
It just, I don't know. Where is Flash going in this cover?
Yeah.
It's a crazy cover.
But that is an amazing cover. Yeah. And a fun series on your channel, too.
And you wouldn't have had the Fantastic Four
or
Marvel. You wouldn't have Fantastic Four or Marvel if it wasn't for the Justice League of America. You know the story.
So aggressively.
That's correct. When Fantastic Four was 61, I think the first one, or
61 or 2, I forget now.
Yeah,
1 or 2. So Fantastic Four and Brave and the Bold 28, you could say, are around the same time. And
I wouldn't say.
I would say I like Fantastic Four #1, the cover, better than this one. It's just my opinion. The way I like it.
And I don't disagree with you, Jared. I'm just correcting the dates.
The next book is Avengers #1. So this is from 1963.
Nice.
No.
And this is a really cool cover. I like this book. It's a restored 2.0, and I'm gonna crack this, and I'm gonna work on this book. I'm not.
It presents really well too.
It does. It's all there. It's not going to change the purpose staple label because the edges are trimmed. The top side and the bottom of the book are trimmed. Can't change it. It's a part of history. And what happened was that a lot of times I read a few articles, and I think Night Tiger told me, Night Tiger Comics Mike, that he also read that a lot of comic shops back in the day in the 60s, when the books came in and they had the marble chipping and it was maybe frayed on the sides, the owners used to cut the books just to make the books present that.
Right.
So make them cleaner.
Make it cleaner. So for me, I have no issue with this. The restoration includes small amount of color touch on the cover, staples replaced, top and right edge trimmed. So what I want to do with this book, it is wavy as anything, as the ocean. I can really press this out. I want to remove the color touch. I want to put vintage staples in it because they're newer staples. And the goal that I'm going to have is to increase the restored grade. So it's a 2. I may be able to get it up to hopefully like I can probably double it if I'm lucky. So a 4 versus a 2.
Wow.
Maybe,
get all those waves out.
Yeah, maybe. Removing the tape, but we'll see. And that is a goal that I'm going to do. And the funny thing about it is that the Avengers, they all have the back covers. Avengers has the same back cover as X-Men #1. The same back cover, back and interior. So it's Marvel at this time was a little lazy. They just used to use the same back cover for each one of the key, because a lot of books came out in 1963.
Right.
X-Men #1, Avengers #1. I'm sure a lot of other what other books came out, if anyone knows. I know there's a bunch of books.
But that's great for marrying covers, right?
Avengers 4 probably was still 63, so yeah.
Yeah. So same back cover.
And like you said, a great piece of history, that book.
Yeah, I'm very happy to pick that up. Actually, I picked that up from a local dealer and from a comic show, and he gave me a book that he wanted me to work on for him. A real golden age key book that he asked me not to put it on YouTube and not to make it part of the show.
Right.
So I'm respect that, but I was able to get a good deal on that book.
Yeah.
Okay,
nice.
So
sure.
Yeah. So I'm happy with that. Okay, so I got 1, 2. I got 3 books, right? What time we got?
Yep. So you got number 10 next, and then you have your 2 story books that you're doing.
You're good on time. You got 20 minutes.
You got 20 minutes.
I'll slow it down. Does anyone have to say anything, or do we want to talk about anything? Because we're going a little fast here.
Well, I think it's too, because you have that Avengers book. You said the staples are newer. So do you have I know you have like your pulps that you keep in different sections. Do you have different containers of different eras of staples that you can pull out and use as well?
I do. I have scrapbooks that I use. I don't want to tell everyone what scrapbooks I have, because that's one thing on my channel that when I say, oh, I'm going to use this book for pulp, does someone have a bird? I hear a bird. No, is that crazy?
It's right outside my window.
Oh,
okay. So when I say I have scrapbooks, people get upset. They says, you're not going to use that book. You're not going to use the cover. So I do have an arsenal of books that are not important to me. And it doesn't faze me. Originally, in my I restore cars. I haven't done it in a while. I have cars sitting in a garage that my wife and she likes to argue, like, why aren't you doing these cars or sell them? So for me, using things, did Joe go to shut the window because of the bird? I like the bird. I have birds. I love birds.
No, I think he lost his connection because it says not connected.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I have no issue using old parts and using donor cars for parts on the car that I'm working for.
Right.
And I feel the same way for comic books.
Yeah.
And I have no issue using parts like with the Brave and the Bold 28 that I'm contemplating that I may restore right now. I have a Bob Hope from March 1963. Okay. And listen, I like Bob Hope, but I'm not collecting Bob Hope comics. It's not my thing. If I can use it to make the Brave and the Bold a better book, I'll use it. I have no issue with it.
Sure.
So to answer your question, Gary, I definitely have staples, and I do have staples from 1963 that are Marvel staples that I can use. Yes, I definitely have a lot of them that I can use.
So, Jerry, a question about that. So, if you were to go, say, work on a Golden Age book, for example, and you were going to put back in, say, a centerfold that had popped out, right, and put in period staples, would that still come back as conserved? Would they know that, or would it have it? I'm just curious.
Uh-oh.
Well, staples are very hard to replace without CGC picking it up. Unless the stars line straight and everything works and you have the exact same staples. I've taken staples out of books before. I put them back in. I replace staples sometimes and send books off to CGC, and I've got a universal grade, okay? And they didn't detect it. I did a lot of things on books that CGC did not detect, okay? In fact, I've used tape before and they didn't detect it. I've used, maybe I shouldn't say it. Let's just say...
They're Kutimar.
Okay, so
they haven't caught on to everything.
Okay, they haven't caught on. And especially the lower the grade of the book, the more you can get away with, because they're looking at it and they're like, this is a low grade book. We're not going to spend that much time on it.
Right.
But with marrying wraps, it's virtually, in my opinion, impossible to marry a wrap without it getting a conserved grade, because the cut of the book is like a fingerprint. So if you take a Golden Age book and you fold the book and you see the pages rolled, you'll see the cut marks on the pages. There's like the little nibs going down, right? On top, on this. It's like fingerprints on a finger. So when you put another wrap in, it's not going to line up with the existing wraps. So it's, I would say, 100% confident that it is going to come back as a conserved grade. And CGC allows married wraps in the conserved grade umbrella. So I like it. I like that they allow that. The issue is whether they allow, or if they pick up on it, married wraps or married pieces of a cover from a book that may have the same back cover, and you're using that to replicate a cover on, say, for instance, an Avengers #1, and then that Nick Fury, I think #3, has the same back cover. So that's an issue. I don't have an answer, but it would be very hard to determine that unless they're watching YouTube channels like mine, which I still think that maybe they do comb the internet from time to time, and maybe they do watch, but we'll see. Okay, so the next book, and I was very happy. This is Wiz Comics #1.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and this is like, Gary, you gave me this as an A-OK, I believe, didn't you? Yes, you did. I don't mark what people give me as an A-OK, but I remember that I believe that you gave me this.
Yeah, I sent it with some others. Yep.
Yes. So this is the Wiz Comics #1, which they say #2. This is the book that I have. Now, I just picked this up And here is Shazam in the back with all the different heroes from Fawcett Comics. This is from February 1940 is the cover date. Now, this is just not a few pages. I'm looking at this book as more of a few pages because although it's coverless, we know that, it's only missing the first 7 pages of the book. So it's not the first 7 wraps, it's the first 7 pages. Someone cut the first 7 pages out. That was the Captain Marvel story. And whether they sold it individually or whatever, I don't know. So take that back. This book is very valuable just the way it is right here. Okay. And I was able to negotiate with Blizzard. I don't know if anyone knows him on eBay. He is one of the best sellers, I think, on eBay. It's a BLISSERD or AR. I think it's ARD. And he had this for sale and it wasn't moving. He was asking a high price and I contacted him. And then we negotiated something. He knows who I am based on the channel and we worked out a deal. So very happy. And my comic book my comic book goal from this point going forward is to find the 7 pages because they do come up. They come up often. Take that back. Not often, but they do come up. So I'm going to grab each page if it takes me until I die. I don't care. And right. I'm going to leaf cast the 7 pages back on. And what I'm doing now is the back cover of Wiz Comics number 2, or 1, I'm sorry, is, I'm sure if you know Golden Age books, it's the Remington typewriter back cover. Yeah. Boy and the girl like this. It's the colorful Remington typewriter, portable typewriter. I'm trying to find the right back cover because I know there has to be a back cover that was the same of this Wiz comic. So I spent hours on night going on eBay and online and trying to find the front and the back of the back cover, and I haven't found one. But Wiz Comics number 2 still has the same back cover as Captain America number 1. A lot of the books during that era, but the key thing is to find the same front and back of the cover. I'll hopefully find it. If not, but it's no big deal, but I would love to do it. So that is my goal in comic collecting.
And, you know, being in comics, you always need a chase, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It makes it fun. Yeah.
Well, I say that I'm trying to complete the Wiz run. I'm pretty close now that I got number 2. I maybe need about 30 books and I have the whole Wiz run. And I always say to myself, you know what, I'm not going to get any more books until I'm only going to focus on Wiz, but that never happens as collectors. Come up and
that's a nice thought.
It's a nice thought. It's a nice thought. Yeah. Okay. So this is the story book, which I am telling a story for every book, so I'm really not following the rules. But this is another one of my books that I remember buying this. I was maybe in 10th grade when I bought this book. So this book, Hulk 181, everyone knows this book from November 1974. First appearance of Wolverine, whether you want to say the 180s, the first appearance, I don't even want to debate it. Right. First cover appearance of Wolverine. Right. So this is a very nice grade. This was the first book that I ever sent to CGC. I never sent a book. Wow. This was the first one. And it was really a life experience because when I sent it, I just took it out of the bag. I looked at it, I go, I'm going to send this to CGC. I sent it and it came back restored. I'm like, shoot, I remember now. And I didn't even look at it. I didn't even this book wasn't pressed. It wasn't anything. I just took it out and I sent it to them. So what's important about this book is when I bought it in 10th or 11th grade, I performed restoration on it. And I remember there's a color breaking line right here, crease, and I didn't like that. So what I did was I actually used, is that from mine, that noise? So what I did was I used the, hang on 1 second. Could someone else talk, please?
Yep. All right. Is that helping?
Second appearance.
There we go. This is Jerry's origin story in restoring and fixing comic books.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I heard an echo. I wanted to try to fix it because we're only quality here on Gary B's. Okay, so I remember sitting outside on the house I grew up in, and I used I forgot what I used. I think I used color pencils, and I did the cover. I did the color touch, and I also color touched the spine here a little bit, and I just took away the whites. So this was probably one of the first books I believe that I worked on, and that's why it's very important to me. And I always contemplated, should I crack it? Should I try to remove the color touch and send it back in and maybe get a universal grade? I probably can remove it, and I probably can maybe get a 7 on it, or I'll lose a half a point. But you know what I decided? Just leave it as a part of my history. I'm the one.
I was just going to say it's a part of your history as a comic.
History, yeah. You don't want to do that. You want to keep it the way it was. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah.
It's a learning curve book.
I'm just going to keep it. So that is, it is, and I'm going to be honest. I may start doing restoration on books, and people really have a bum rap with restoration. I just saw on Instagram there was a picture of Todd McFarlane's collections, and he was showing his major grails. Did everyone see that? It was just on Instagram. I did not. He was on an interview. Okay, so I just saw it right before we signed on, and he was showing his major grails. Okay. Superman 1, Amazing Fantasy, first Spider-Man, the major piece. Every single one of the books was restored, had a purple label.
I saw
so that, yeah. I would like to go backwards. Yeah, I would like to go backwards and maybe get away from looking at a purple label and say, you know what, that's bad because it's restored. Because there's a lot of books that would benefit from reproduction of graphics, if half of the cover, a lot of the remainder books I like to fix. There's one Action Comics that I plan on restoring, and we'll see. Maybe we'll take a new turn with doing some restoration.
And that's where it comes in as a collector, right? You got to personalize your way. You can't listen to the public opinion because it'll always drive you nuts.
You have to remember that. You have to remember that a lot of that comes from the speculation situation, the people that sell. So they're saying, oh, restored grade doesn't come up as much, but if it's something you want and part of your collection, something that you really want to have, you're not looking to turn it over or to sell it, there's nothing wrong with restored grade, right? I mean, I showed that Wonder Woman.
I agree.
I was happy to get it,
I agree. And it definitely is something that is helpful to collectors because you can pick up grails that are more affordable if they're restored.
And a lot of those people are full of it. They would take that book in a second if it was available to them.
Yeah.
I think so. And that's one of my other searches. When I do searches looking for books, I'm looking restored books. And I'm looking to see if I can pick up a restored book and perhaps take the restoration out or just leaving it alone. But I have no issue with restored. Of course, I would want a universal #1 and then conserved maybe. And then, and then restored. That's my tiers of going what I would want first. But if I can grab an Avengers #1 and I would pick it up for a good price and it's restored, I have no problem with checking it off on my list of books that I'm able to put on into the PC.
Right, you own it, you have it. Who cares if there's something on it?
That's right. That's right. My last book, and it's another storybook. Okay, so this book right here is Wiz Comics number 3. Okay, and this is the 3rd appearance of Shazam, and it's a classic World War II book, and it's just Shazam kicking ass. He's ripping off an engine, a prop engine off of a Nazi plane. They did not use a swastika; they used the skull and crossbones at this time. But this is just an awesome book. And the story of this book is that I helped someone out in the comic community with legal services. And I was given this book as a present for helping the individual out in performing legal services for them. And I was very happy to do the legal services for them, but I was equally as happy to get this book as a gift for doing the legal services. So this will go back to my main discussion in the beginning, is that there's nothing wrong with dealing with the comic community, dealing with the people that we actually develop friendships and relationships with. And it's a way to expand your comic collection in ways that you would not think of if you didn't broaden your horizons in doing this. So this book is special in 2 ways. I remember the person who gave it to me. I was happy to help them. And it's a book that I really wanted to add to my Wiz Comics line that I'm trying to complete. So that's the story that I'm associating with this book. Very happy to have it. And
now,
it's definitely
what connects you to Shazam? What makes him such an important character to you? Like, how did you discover him when you were young? That'll be like the last thing we discuss so you can get to what your appointment.
Appointment of 2 elderly men fighting. Okay, so what got me into Shazam, and I do see this on
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel, yeah. Sometimes
I tried out the same thing.
There was it back in like 76 or 77, I think it was. DC Comics came out with little pictures of Captain Marvel in different scenarios. One of them is that he's ripping a machine apart with Dr. Savannah in the back. So it was like little artworks that you can purchase. I don't know where you can where they were for sale, but DC used to do that, and you see them from time to time for sale. They were probably like the size of a legal pad, okay? And when I was probably probably kindergarten, I had them taped up on my wall when I was very young. Because I used to be really big into, I wasn't a sports guy, I was a comic book guy, but not a comic book back then. I used to like to watch Super Friends, Batman I loved. I was a superhero guy. I used to have the toys. I didn't play sports. I was more of a geeky guy back then, Star Wars and superheroes. So I used to love Shazam back then, and that's what really got me into Shazam. And another reason maybe is that when I started getting back into collecting, probably when I was in about college, maybe, because I took a little break, or at the end of college, when was it? Like I have receipts from eBay, probably like from 2001. I still have receipts. I think eBay was around 20-something years ago, very long time ago. And I have receipts, and I used to search books, and the Captain Marvel adventures and the Wiz comics were always a lot less than the Batman, the Superman, the action comics. And that's how I scooped up a lot of my books, because I was trying to work within a budget, and I liked Shazam, and so I grabbed those books that way, and I just started going down that rabbit hole, and I kept going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, it became a lifelong love.
Yeah, no, and I really used to like the Shazam show, the live action show that was in the late 70s. I don't know if anyone
with
else
the van.
watched that.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the right. It was fun. It was fun. And yeah, so
I watched it.
Yep. So that's the basis for how I got down the path of liking Fawcett Comics. And then when I started buying them, I just saw that they were really good for World War II propaganda. They really had great covers, I felt. I do feel now they were very patriotic at the time of during World War II. And it's a good series, and hopefully I'll complete the run. And then I'll go to Captain Marvel Adventures. I'll finish that one too.
Nice.
And the Fawcett books are underappreciated. The whole line is really good, and there's a lot of really neat reads in there. With all the other series too.
100%. Captain Marvel Jr. I just got a really great American flag cover. Like I think it's number 30 or 20 something. I picked that book up. I'm very happy.
The Miracle comics I've seen on your channel too.
Yep. I have them too. And Matt Grayboy is one of my favorite artists in Golden Age. Actually, he's one of my favorite artists of all time, regardless of the era. And he really hit it home. He did a great job. It sort of reminds me of Norman Rockwell, his style, the way he used to do it. It's just classic Americana. So that's why I like the Fawcett's. I have a lot of Batman Golden Age World War II covers. And I've said this before on the show, on different shows, Gary. Batman Golden Age are not really the best. They're a little campy. And they're not good in my opinion. They're okay. I collect them. I have a lot of them. I think out of DC, I think Action Comics is the best for World War II covers. I think they really hit it home with Superman because he kicks butt in those books. And I'm very happy with a lot of the Action Comics that I've been picking up lately. I'm trying to get all of the World War II covers from Action Comics, and
there's something you collect that I would like to get you back on the show, say in December for, as I know you're a big Christmas covers person.
Oh yeah.
I'll do a 10-1-1 with your favorite Christmas covers.
I'll definitely do that because I do the Christmas show with Night Tiger.
I just think it would be such a fun episode.
Yeah, I'll keep the books out. That will definitely be fun. We can do that in December. Awesome, definitely.
And I might get like most of these old guys that do shows with me here to just fill the whole month of December with Christmas covers. Everyone doing their Christmas covers.
I like it. Yeah, that's one of my areas that I like to collect. I like to collect holiday covers, but primarily Christmas covers. And I have a nice amount of books for the Christmas covers. And Fawcett has a lot of pretty cool Christmas covers. They did a nice job back then. So I don't know. Do they do Christmas covers anymore in modern books or?
Yeah,
they do.
They do.
They do. Okay. When I go to a comic store, guys, I have to be honest. I walk right by the new stuff. I don't even look at it. And if it's anything from 90 moving forward, I don't have any interest whatsoever for it. My collecting is probably like 1980 something. At the end of the bronze, when's the bronze? And like 85, maybe
86, I think.
86, yeah.
So bronze and going back, that's what I look at. And I would like to pick up. There's a few modern keys that I want to pick up. I would like to pick up like the first Deadpool. I have to pick one of them up. It's a big character. I would want that. I was talking to Mike Night Tiger about that. He's saying that that's a girl. It's not a woman. It's not even the first Deadpool is not even a man. Is that true? I don't even know about that. So not that it matters.
Right.
It's not even the Deadpool that we all like today. So maybe I just put my.
So Jerry, you basically have defined my channel. Because anachronic means chronologically misplaced, right? It says that, and Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age. chronological place. So
look at him plugging himself on your show, Jerry. Look at that guy.
That's fine. That's fine. Listen, I'm promoting the show tomorrow, like I said. So I don't even have an upload tomorrow. I'm going to have your thumbnail, Gary. And I did a little minute thing saying, hey, guys, I was too busy last night. Go check out me on the 1011. And then hopefully we'll spread the love. Because I am having a 4,000 subscriber, and I still have Joe's books from the 3,000 subscribers. We're going to work
have a little bit of time
something out.
I'm wondering if you have a little bit of time for me, Jerry.
But Jerry, fantastic book, sir.
Yeah.
I know you want to get to your debate, so I don't want to keep you, but fantastic stuff. And always, you're one of my favorite people in the community. You know that. So it's always a pleasure to have you on the channel, just to get to hang out with you. And
I appreciate it. I had a blast, guys. I had a blast.
Oh yeah, and we'll go around real quick. Everyone can say what they got going on. So we'll start with Mr. Chuck Hensey because he's up top.
Well, I don't have a whole lot going on right now, but I'll be back here next Thursday with you, and I'll be on Joe. And I will be on with Joe as we get ourselves back on schedule and everything, and those are the plans right now.
Nice. And Jim, what's coming up for you, sir?
I'm hoping to do another Can You Dig It? I have to pick a book out and read it. It's like my Can You Dig It comic review. I do plan to go out digging tomorrow. It's just going to be just cool enough where I can bear it for a couple hours, but I'm going into DT, so I got to get out and dig some. I got to find a good place.
Exactly, Jackson. Joe, what's coming up for you, buddy?
Real quick, as I mentioned on Tuesday, I did drop a Who is Wonder Woman video, which I think is pretty good. So if you get a chance to take a look at it.
It's excellent, Joe. It's not pretty good. It's excellent.
Thank you. Thank you. And tomorrow, since we couldn't get ourselves together for a comic book crowd, what I did is I went back and episode 3, believe it or not, with a big discussion of Hulk 180 and 181 was cameo versus first appearance. It's really good. I watched the whole thing again. I shortened it to about 45 minutes, so I got all the good spots in there. That'll be on tomorrow at 8 o'clock. And the last thing is the week after that, Bill Miller Comic Mag Musings is going to be on the Anachronic College of Comic Book Knowledge.
Nice.
And doing EC era of magazines, which will be nice.
So both the Professor Gary and myself have to do some research.
We do
on his 5 questions.
And also, Jerry will do you last real quick. But for me, we got coming up in July, we have Utaku Tour Guide doing his second 1011 next Tuesday. And the 4th is my birthday, so I'm taking it off because I don't like to be responsible for anything on my birthday. I don't like to adult, except for taking care of my kid. That's the only adulting I want to do. And then we're back the week after with Fable and Tyler from Whack Comics, who's doing a Pokemon episode, Pokemon graded card episode. So that'll be fun. So we like to play with our format here. We like to change it up. We don't like to give you the same thing all the time. And Jerry, what's coming up for you, buddy?
The same old stuff, guys. Just check out the channel if you want to see me playing with books. I'm trying to finish up a few books. I think the key thing that you have to look out for is the X-Men #1, which is going to be a good upload, whether I was able to get a conserved grade or the CGC smack me in the side of the head and they're going to give me the purple label of doom. So that's going to be coming up because I'm going away in July to Paris for a few days. And then I want to get the X-Men #1 uploaded before I leave. So hopefully I get the book back and we'll have a decision on whether I achieved my goal and got a conserved grade. So that's what's coming up pretty much.
Nice. All right. So as I like to do, thank you to all my co-hosts. I appreciate it, guys. The show is always more interesting than just my voice. So I appreciate you guys' time and contributing to my channel. Always a thank you to my guests. So Jerry, thank you so much for coming on. Like I said, man, you're one of my favorite people. It's always a pleasure to spend time with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Barry.
Anytime, buddy. And everyone in the crowd who turned out tonight, thank you so much. And if you're watching us on the rewind, certainly we appreciate you and your time. Everyone's links are in the description below, so please go sub everybody up. There's not anyone here that'll disappoint you. They're all incredible people and people that I am fortunate to call friends. So as we like to end this thing, I'm going to say, keep it casual.